Hey guys, this is CCL Extra Time. This is Ryan with Maiwa. Maiwa, how's the head treating you, man?
Man, it's finally back. I was able to show the public what I look like. It's been a couple months of quarantine with no haircuts, so it feels good to shave the face, shave the head, get back to normality. Hopefully we can do this a little bit more consistently. But let me tell you, I feel like $1,000,000 and a new man after the haircut yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you, you don't look like $1,000,000, but we do have an episode that is close to be worth $1,000,000 because we've got a great guest on today, Jimmy Conrad, and we've got some great news. CCL Florida. Um, Show some light on that and share some news on, what happened, how did it get done, and, what kind of exciting things does the CCL have planned in the future.
No, we're excited for sure. The big announcement was made on Monday. So after a few months of conversations, webinars, and video conferences with these technical leaders down from Florida, we were able to announce CCL Florida with 9 founding members. Those 9 founding members are essential to what the growth will be for that conference in that specific area. But a big piece to highlight is those directors that we have been working with have been top class. From day one of meeting to the announcement on Monday, and even since, a lot more communication has been going on. We can say we started with 10 clubs in conversation. So we did a strenuous vetting process to make sure, dealing with like-minded clubs. Some clubs had some recommendations of other clubs they would want to participate against. So, for us to be able to start these conversations about 3 months ago with 10 clubs, and then 9 being able to sign on that dotted line to commit to a season with us, that's exciting. We're excited to be in the area. We're excited for the clubs that have joined, and we're excited to continue to use power of the league to grow the game in the right way. Crossover matches, technical director meetings, connecting, sharing resources, connecting to our strategic partnerships. So there's a lot of positivity that comes out of this expansion. Let's hope that CCL continues to expand, because right now we're kind of on a roll with some of our announcements, some of our conferences. USYS, US Youth Soccer, made their announcement, branding the league championship on the East Coast. So we're excited that we were founding league members for that. And we have our Virginia, Maryland, DC, West Virginia base, and our New England base being, announced as those pioneers for this program, and hopefully we'll be able to take it to other regions that we're functioning in. So exciting times here in the marketplace for sure.
Another exciting event in Florida. The MLS just announced its tournament to try to get back to soccer down at Disney. What do I think it's going to be a great event for soccer, great tournament. I think it's going to be some great, we see all 26 teams in one location, and I think it's going to be a great event. What do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Disney is a great venue for this. They're gonna set up the world just like it's the World Cup. So Disney will host it. All the clubs will be there. It will be a month of games, so extremely entertaining, with the knockout rounds and then qualifying into it. So this should be fun to have soccer back in the United States. MLS making their announcement, NWSL putting out their preliminary schedule. They'll kick off June 27th. MLS will kick off July 8th. So, pretty soon around the corner, we will have soccer back on TV every day. So that's an interesting in fact where we went from COVID-19, no football for us who love it, and soon enough we will be right back to having game options daily. So I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. And also the possibility of maybe having, extra time in Florida, at a game, possibly at Disney. Who knows? We might meander our way in there. Who knows?
I think we're going
Uh,
to use our resources well.
yeah. But yeah, Premier League starting back next week. The Liga, I think, is this weekend, and the Bundesliga has been going on. It's going to be, nonstop soccer for, foreseeable future this summer.
Who are you representing for this MLS tournament?
I mean, everybody knows I'm a big Atlanta United fan. You
Oh,
you obviously disapprove. I don't know why, but big Atlanta United fan, and who knows? They maybe win this thing.
I got a lot of time for Atlanta United. They've done it before. They got a lot of the weapons. They got a great leader over there, Carlos Bocanegra. They got a fantastic youth academy as well. So I support them. I might be leaning a little bit towards the the expansion of David Beckham FC, formerly known as Inter Miami, but but
Yeah,
it's
I
going to
I
be
think
exciting.
I think this tournament's going to be a great showcase for the like Nashville or into Miami that's only played a game. They're obviously going to be hungry to show how good they can be, and Inter Miami is almost home. There's no fans, but it's basically their home field. They can go home. They're comfortable in Florida in that climate. So I think it's going to be an interesting tournament. Everyone's only allowed, or not allowed, but they're given 3 games minimum. I think everyone's going to be playing those games hard. It's going to be very competitive. So I hope it's a great event.
No, we love what a season and what a league can offer, but we'd be damned to say we don't love the entertainment of what a tournament will bring. So I think they'll bring some excitement, generate some unity amongst the players, the league, and then for us soccer fans, us rascals, we'll get all the footy we need. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for it to kick off.
Yeah, and excited for NWSL as well. It's going to be a great event as well to get the women's game off and running in the U.S. So it's very positive going forward. We've got, speaking of positive things, we've got a great guest today, Jimmy Conrad. He's about to come on, and we're looking forward to that conversation. Jimmy?
Yeah, let's see if we can get Jimmy on.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're here with Jimmy Conrad here. Jimmy, give us a little bio about yourself.
Well, I think my running tagline is I'm your favorite former U.S. men's national team player. But that's probably a really braggy way to say it, even though I would say, humble beginnings. I grew up in Southern California. I'll go really quick. I wasn't highly recruited out of high school. I walked on in college. I ended up going to UCLA, which was my dream school, and was the guy that got 1 week to try out and make the team. I ended up parlaying that into, well, somebody had to get hurt in front of me for me to start my senior year. And 5 minutes into the first playoff game, they got hurt. We won the national championship. And I thought, I'm going to go to MLS for sure. I'm going to completely get drafted. I'm on the best college team in the nation. And the other 4 seniors got drafted, and I didn't. So it was a really important moment for me to decide whether I wanted to become a professional or not. And so I went down to the minor leagues. I slept on floors. I ate top ramen. I trained with the team in the morning and by myself at night. And I found myself on the San Jose Earthquakes the year after proving myself. I got 30 games in 6 months at that level, which was pretty important because I think if I'd gone to MLS right away, I just would have sat on the bench and watched other guys play. So it was very important for that. And then I parlayed that into 4 years. San Jose won an MLS Cup, got traded to Kansas City, and then that's where I really took off. I started to win MLS Defender of the Year, All-Star, Best 11. Got called into the national team, played in a World Cup, was on cereal boxes in video games, was captain of the national team at some point, played against Messi, Ronaldo, Zidane. And I was just a guy that worked a little bit harder than everybody else. That was my talent.
That
No,
was
that's
very well
fantastic.
said there.
That was my TED Talk. I'm done, guys. Thank you for having me.
We love that story. You kind of hit on so many things with that introduction, but perseverance is something that I really take from that. Just hearing that expectations and then reality, but not being you know discouraged from that, but really just saying, you know what, I'm gonna grind through this and make this work. Which in today's world, I think more people need to hear about that. Being goal driven and being determined to accomplish some things that you set for
I'll say
yourself.
this. I'll jump in really quick and say that there was a watershed moment for me when I was 15. We had a chance to, as my club team, we got a chance to talk to the dad of a World Cup player who was Marcelo Balboa, played for the U.S. in 2 World Cups. And I get this question, which is kind of funny. Everything's come full circle, but we brought him over. My coach brought him over, and you could just tell he's at a youth tournament. He's like, oh man, I have to talk to another team. But he was kind and gracious, and my hand goes straight up, and I ask him, how did Marcelo play in a World Cup? Now for me, I'd give you a 30-minute answer, but for him, Louis Balboa, he looked at me and said, he just went and worked on his game every day for 2 hours at the park. And that was it. He moved on to the next question. And a light bulb went over my head. At that age, I then recognized that it was up to me to decide how good I was going to be at anything. It wasn't up to anybody else. And when you have that and understand that, it changes your whole outlook and perspective on how you approach things, and that you almost embrace failure in some ways. Now, I will say, it's a really easy story to say, oh yeah, well then Jimmy did that and look what he did. But when I first went out there, I quickly realized that I wasn't very good. So I went home after 10 minutes. I didn't even know what to do. I'm like, okay, well, Marcelo took a ball and went to the park or school, which is by my house. There's a wall. I'll figure something out. And you don't really know what to do. You don't really have any ideas outside of, well, my left foot isn't very good, so I'll try to juggle. And I was embarrassed, guys. I was embarrassed, and nobody was there. I was by myself, and I was embarrassed. That's how bad my left foot was. And I had to face up to that. But because I was embarrassed and a little ashamed, I went home because it's easier, or at least that's what I thought. It was easier for me to go home and play video games with my friends than to actually try to get better at something. But to my credit, I pushed myself to go back out there again, still really not knowing what to do. And that 10 minutes, again, was 10 minutes. But because I kept pushing myself out there, when I went to training with my team, I started to get a little bit better. And once you start to get a little bit better, that is the juice. Because then you realize, oh, wow, wonder what happens if I put 20 minutes in. Will I be twice as good? And then as you start to then figure out games and little things that are going to help you, you'll see in practice, I should probably work on that. And then you start to realize when you're at practice, I've got the wall, I've got these cones, I should work on this. This will help me in this area. It's crazy how it all connects. And then what you end up doing is you want to get better. You get thirsty to get better. And people can see that you're getting better and they don't know why or how. And you're like, I don't know. You don't tell them your secret, of course. But you go up to the coach and you say, hey, what do you think I can work on to get better? And instead, if you ever said that to a coach and you weren't working on your game, you'd probably take his information personally. You'd get defensive. But for me, I was an open book. I wanted the criticism. I wanted to know what I needed to work on because then I could go apply it and work on it when nobody was looking. And it changed my whole outlook. And so, yes, you talk about perseverance, and that helps build those elements because you know that, okay, if it didn't work out for me here, I can go back and work on it in a different way so that they cannot deny me. And that's what I did. I just made sure that they could never deny me. At some point, you had to pay attention to me. And I didn't know for sure if it was going to happen with the national team. I didn't get my first cap until I was 28 years old. Most guys get to look at, 19 to 22, let's say. And it took me another 6 or 7 years to even get a sniff, to even get invited to a camp. But once I got there, I was never going to let that opportunity go. And I think I parlayed it into something pretty special. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that moment in particular because I think it's important for kids to hear. And I want to pay it forward because it really is up to you how good you're going to be at anything. It can be school, it can be music, acting, sports, whatever it is.
So what gave you that thirst to get into YouTube, get into podcasts? What inspired you to do that?
Look at this personality. Look at this hair and face. Of course, I was built for media. No, so when I was playing, I had opportunities to do some stuff. I think the teams that I played for recognized that I was outgoing. So they said, hey, why don't you write a column for us? And I went to Poland on loan. I went and played for Lech Poznan my second year in MLS. And when I was there, that's when you had to go to internet cafes, and it took 30 minutes to send one email. It was so slow, all the dial-up stuff. And after 5 or 6 months, I was so frustrated with how archaic everything was in Poland and how far behind they were everybody else. I just wrote this rant, a 1,500, 2,000 word rant about basically everything I didn't like about Poland. And it was just to my friends and my agent and everybody that was in, and they loved it. And they pitched that email to Sports Illustrated. And from there, I started to write a column that was more on the inside looking out as opposed to everybody else speculating about what's going in. But I think as I've kind of built my brand, let's say, and just how I am as a person, I understand that the game is just a bunch of people in small shorts and long socks kicking the ball in a certain direction. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And so I try to bring that lightheartedness to what I do. However, I do understand the power of the game itself and how it teaches you how to be a better human being. And there's a lot of life lessons there. And then, of course, how it brings people together. So there's that balance that I have in my brain. But ultimately, that's how I got started. And what's important about this, and if anybody wants to take that foray into media, I'm now expected to have an opinion on everything. And so if you can have or start to put yourself in a position where you need to frame up an opinion or to be able to speak expertly about something and know how to do that and the resources that you need to make that happen, it changes how you approach that. But again, the habits and discipline that I had as a player still apply to what I'm doing here in the media. I mean, the more work that I put in, the more that I'm trying to get better at my craft, it does pay off, and that does give me job opportunities to go travel the world and do some amazing things.
So, like, speaking on your outgoing self, you claim to be the best or the handsomest MLS defender ever. You claim that. What's your top 5? You know, other than you, obviously, you're number 1.
Of course.
What's your 2 through 5?
For what? Best players,
Most
US?
handsome MLS defender.
Oh, wow. Defenders. If we're going defenders only, well,
Eddie
Pope was a very handsome man, still is a handsome man. Oguchi Onyewu, very handsome. Carlos Bocanegra did very well with the ladies. We went to UCLA together, so I got to see it firsthand. I'm trying to think who else. Steve Cherundolo, even though he's 5'6", he's as cute as a button, you know? So those are the guys that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. I played with those guys, so it's in my best interest to give them some love and praise. But yeah, I'd say those next 4 guys. I think that's 4 there.
So, you know, in your videos, you wear a lot of, you know, soccer jerseys, swag, and you played in an era, you know, with the Kansas City Wizards where there was some sweet threads out there. Did that kind of translate you playing in, you know, sick jerseys to kind of, you know, evolving that into, you know,
a collection?
Yeah.
I think I knew early on, and I remember my teammates giving me a hard time about switching jerseys with other players, whether it was an MLS or if we were playing in the CONCACAF Champions League or if I was with the national team. I just thought it was a really cool way to commemorate that game and to keep that game somewhat memorialized. So if I pull that jersey out, I'll be able to tell you a story about what happened in that game. And without that memento, I just don't know if I would have been able to do the same. So that's why I did it. But the guys were like, that's so cheesy. What are you doing? You know, and they give you a hard time. But now I feel like I'm the big winner because now I have a really, really cool collection of jerseys that go back. I mean, I have a Dallas Burn jersey. I almost called them FC Dallas Burn jersey. Yeah. I have some of the old school San Jose Clash jerseys, which is mine. But yeah, I got a nice collection. And obviously I got to trade with some really talented players. I got to play against Real Madrid. So when Beckham was there, I traded with him and traded with Andrea Pirlo, who's my Lord and Savior. I love that dude. When I played against Italy in the World Cup. And you just have all these special moments. And these jerseys kind of really highlight what you were doing at that time and how you were feeling.
Yeah, sticking on that topic, can you, outside of those, we always like to put people on the spot. Which one is the prize possession?
You know,
which one are we putting up for bid next week?
Wow. Well, yeah, I guess if I was in a pinch, I would probably sell the Beckham one. So for financial reasons, I think the Beckham one would be, still has a grass stain on it, you know, long sleeve. Very cool. And that whole experience was very special to play against not only him, but
it's always a problem when he's wearing the long sleeves.
Yeah. He's bringing his A game if he's wearing long sleeves. So yeah, we got to play. I got not only him, but it was Zidane and R9 Ronaldo and Roberto Carlos and Iker Casillas. Like, it was really special. And it was at the Bernabeu. So to be there playing in that famous stadium was very cool. So I think that one sticks out for me. But I would say the one that meant the most was Andrea Pirlo. That was my first time playing in a World Cup game. I came on as a sub, and yeah, that would be the one. I think that's the peak. That's peak Jimmy Conrad.
And you managed to get a Pirlo out of everybody else on the roster. That's you pushing your way through.
So fun fact was I wanted Andrea Pirlo. You're right. I did push my way through. But after the game ended, Alessandro Del Piero came up to me. And I waved him off because I was going to go get Andrea Pirlo. So now I feel like a complete jerk for waving off Alessandro Del Piero because he is an absolute legend. But I just had Pirlo in my sights. I just had to have Andrea Pirlo for a lot of reasons. I just really loved his game and just kind of the way he carries himself. But I can't believe I waved off Del Piero. I still kind of embarrassed by that because I'm sure that never happens to somebody like him, somebody waving him off.
What's that conversation like after the game when you ask for a jersey, and especially probably more difficult when it's, you know, an international match, you might not speak the same language.
I would say that there's been some instances where it goes well and sometimes it doesn't. So the Italy game in particular, it was such a memorable game, I think, for both sides. And I think they were really impressed and respected our performance being down a man for most of the second half and still getting a result. They were eager to switch jerseys with us. Even when the cameras weren't on the field, behind the scenes, they were still trying to get jerseys with us. So I thought that was really cool and exciting. But there have been other times where, like, we played Argentina in the Copa America, and I just happened to be we got our butts kicked, so I probably shouldn't be switching at that point. But I just, again, I always had it in the spirit of just remembering the event. And I just happened to be walking by Riquelme. Now, Riquelme is not the nicest of guys. Incredible player, but from what I understand and actually getting to experience, not the nicest of guys. So I asked him, and he basically looked at me like I was like I've never seen a nastier look like after a game before from a player. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm not going to get an Argentina jersey. You just have to tell the story, maybe find a highlight of me tackling Messi or something. But yeah, so sometimes it just depends. If it's a friendly, obviously it's not a problem. And I think both sides are eager to switch. But then I guess in formal competitions, it gets a little trickier.
So, you know, speaking on the Copa America 2007 jersey, I feel the U.S. jersey it's an underrated, jersey. And I went on, I was researching you, I found that tackle, and I looked up that jersey, and it's nowhere on YouTube, eBay or anything.
Yeah. The pinstripe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you rank, you know, all-time U.S. jerseys 1 through 5? What's your favorite ones? Just from style, maybe you played with it, you know?
I feel like there's a bias for me because of how and when I got into the team. And as I mentioned before, how meaningful it was for me to play for the national team, given that I'd been on the outside looking in for so long. The first jersey that I would go with is the one that I wore when I first had my first cap. We played against Cuba in the Gold Cup in 2005, and it was one. I think Holland were wearing them too. I think Portugal was wearing them too. It was the Nike, and it was, I think we had navy blue the first one, or it was white, but they had that circle, and then the number was in the circle. I really liked the material. That one was very light, but it just had this additional meaning to me that will never be taken away, no matter what other jersey I wear. The ones we wore in the World Cup, obviously very special, and that was the same one that I wore when I scored against Mexico as well. And what was really cool was the equipment manager at the time, Ryan Maxfield for the U.S., he wrote the score on my collar. So U.S. 2, Mexico 0. So I have the game worn that says that, and I haven't got it framed yet, but I have it. And it was really cool that he did that. I thought that took that next step, an extra layer that I think will make that jersey a little bit more special. Outside of that, the Copa America one, I think just due to scarcity, I don't even know if I have my blue pinstripe one anymore. I've been looking recently because my mom's moving out of my childhood home. So we can't find it. So that one would be definitely a collector's item if I can find it. And then we played a game ahead of the World Cup in 2006. It was our last send-off game. And we wore these like 1950s throwbacks with the sash. It was against Latvia of all teams. And I love that jersey. And I still have it, but I don't know where it is at the moment. I know it's here. I've seen it. I just don't know exactly where. I'm looking at my jersey, like 100 or my closet of 100 jerseys. But yeah, so those ones stand out for me.
Yeah, question I have, just speaking of Beckham, now he's brought his franchise to Miami. Would you have ever expected, him to choose this location? and then segueing into we're so happy soccer's coming back.
Sure.
And how do you feel about that the tournament that's going to come play?
I'm excited about it. I think it'll be very unique, though a bit preseason like, because there won't be any fans and because I think they'll be playing on fields where the stands are very small or not there at all. I'm sure there'll maybe be a few stands. I've been to that complex before, but yeah, I'm excited that it's coming back and we're putting things in motion to get back to where we were, because I think sports does bring some sanity to a lot of people and helps them find that balance between what's happening in their real life and kind of what they can escape to. So yes, very important on that end. With regard to Beckham and Miami, there's something about that city and Europeans, man. I don't know. They're drawn. It's like moth to light. They love Miami. Now, I love Miami too. A lot of special people there. And anytime I go and do pickup games, when I travel, I like to do pickup games and invite people to come out and play. Miami always has an amazing turnout. So I love the city, but I just find it interesting that of all the cities where Europeans like to go, it's hot, it's sweaty, it's humid. It's just not my number one destination. If I was going to kind of say, hey, of any cities you could go in America, Miami is the one. But yeah, it is interesting. I know that there's a lot of dynamics there that have to have it be successful. I was still playing in the league when Miami Fusion was there, and they were playing in Fort Lauderdale. And that was the big thing, because if you know Miami geography, Fort Lauderdale is like 45 minutes north of Miami. It's not really Miami. So when Inter Miami came in with Beckham, because they were working through all the politics of trying to find some space in Miami itself, they now ended up in Fort Lauderdale again. So it's kind of at the moment, I think they're going to get that space and hopefully revamp it. But yeah, there's a lot of work to do. And you know what? I appreciate his diligence. He stayed on that market. I'm sure that the commissioner, Don Garber, was like, hey, it might not really work in Miami. Do you want another city to maybe take it to? But he's put his flag in the ground, and I respect it. I respect his perseverance, which is a theme I think we've had throughout the show.
So I'm a Miami resident, so
all right, cool.
I know fully what you mean with how the Europeans flock to the city. Maybe that's why some of us love it as well, or we can call it the beaches. But like you said, he is up against a couple good battles. Just for the sporting world specifically, it's all European, Central, South Americans there, so they love the game. But are they going to choose to go to a game, or are they going to choose the boat life or the club life? So
I mean, I agree with you on that. And then also, I feel like Miami, you need to have a winning team. If you're winning, they're going to come out. And not only that, they have to have a team that plays well. If you have a team that's just kind of, stereotypically American, where you're just kind of lumping it and trying to score on set pieces, like the fans aren't coming out for that. They need to have a little tiki-taka. They need to have a little flair, So I think Beckham will at least have the opportunity to attract some of his friends to come over. I just hope he attracts them when they're a little bit closer to their prime and not at the end of the rope. Now, I heard Edinson Cavani might come over, which would be a great signing. But again, you still need to surround him with players that can get him the ball in meaningful ways. So there's a lot of different ways to break this down. I wish him the best. I hope it works in Miami, because if it does work in Miami, then you've cracked the nut, and I think that team would explode and be like one of the top teams in the league.
No, a lot of potential for this group, and like you said, they have gone through a lot to get to where they are. It's tough that they play their first game, and then after that,
I know,
getting prepared for a home match, and putting together last minute, and then the season just closes a little bit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's a tough one for the soccer community right now.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, I think that the Bundesliga, to their credit, got out in front and, showed that it's possible. And I thank them in some ways, because I think we can learn from their mistakes and also their successes. I will say, though, as a fan, now that I get to watch more Bundesliga, I'm not as impressed. Usually when the Bundesliga is just part of La Liga and the Premier League and Liga and Serie A, you just see the best of the best, right? Oh, Robert Lewandowski scores another great goal or whatever from Bayern Munich. But now that I get to watch kind of the middle table teams, I'm like, God, these guys, their defending is not good. And so I try to remind people of that with some of the stuff that I do on social media, that if this goal or if this play had happened in MLS, you'd be like, oh, MLS sucks. It's the worst league ever. But then if it happens in the Bundesliga or anywhere else, you're like, well, it happens, every once a season, or, it's such crap. The Euro snobs are funny, man. But I try to do that and kind of put a flag in the ground that the perception of MLS needs to change. It's a lot better than it used to be, and it's going to continue to get better as we move forward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so a question I'd have for you, just as you're on, you've been gracious to join us on Extra Time. Speak a little bit about your webinar series and what you do on YouTube, so our public knows, and then give a shout out to your pages
Sure.
so we make sure that they start to follow you.
Of course. So I appreciate this. I am on every platform. I try to make sure that I have visibility in every single way. The way that I make money currently, just to be frank with you guys, is I get paid by brands. And so the bigger my audience is on every platform, the more I can either charge the brand, or they're just willing to hire me in the first place. So it's important for me. But on the flip side of that, I just love making content. So if you go to TikTok, I'm doing goofy stuff there because that's what TikTok is. At Jimmy Conrad. Everything's at Jimmy Conrad. YouTube, I've probably backed off a little bit on that because I went hard on it for 8 years, and I'll be honest, I got a little burned out. But I love the platform. I just needed to try something different and kind of re-get those creative juices going in a different way. I'm on Twitch, but what I do on Twitch is more of like a variety show. So I had DeMarcus Beasley on, a U.S. men's national team legend, 4 World Cups, and we talked about what it was like to be black in America. We get into the real stuff, which I love. I love kind of not always being lighthearted, that we can be meaningful in some ways. But then we're also talking about how, he got stiffed by MLS when he tried to come back from Europe, and we're having a good laugh about that. So it's just a nice blend. And then we have some funny bits and we do all that. I also have a thing on Twitter at Jimmy Conrad where I do the soccer minute. So just a funny take, 1 minute, you get in and get out. You hopefully smile or laugh or have some type of thought about it. Maybe you want to comment, engage with me. And usually I respond. And if not, whatever, you get in and get out. And I also have a thing called Coach Jimmy, which is what I referenced before, which I put on Instagram and on Twitter as well, where I'll take a play from another league. And I don't do this every single time, but I'll break down the play, but I try to do it in a very entertaining yet informative way. And it's so well received. We have a little jingle that people remember. And I always know which one is, or which kind of segment or which idea is doing well, because then people just talk to me about it all the time. And even I've been an ambassador for AT&T for 4 years, and they want to sponsor my Coach Jimmy's. So I know that if I'm breaking through with these ideas, the cool part about having all these platforms and being visible is that you can try stuff, and some stuff doesn't work, of course, but there is, like Coach Jimmy, that does break through. And then all of a sudden you've got this thing that's desirable. And now you can figure out a way to continue to be yourself, which is important, not completely selling out, but also still figuring out ways to make money and having a good time while you're doing it.
Yeah, I did not know they were on every platform. So,
dude, I'm everywhere, and I'm tired. It's tiring.
Yeah. So which brand of coffee is sponsoring this episode of Jimmy Conrad?
Good question. Yeah, I don't have a Starbucks contract, so we got to figure that out.
We'll see if we can put you in touch with some of our strategic partners.
Let's do it.
So yeah, we thank you for coming on, Jimmy, and yeah, it was a great episode.
Yeah, thank you so much, and good luck with everything that you guys are doing. Hopefully I can come back again soon.
No, really do appreciate it. We'll make sure that Ryan makes sure to blast all of your ats on this as before we put it out to the public. Hopefully, we'll be able to maybe one day be a guest on your show. And
that would be awesome. I mean, there's definitely a component of what you guys are doing that I'd love to explore. So yeah, we'll it's just a matter of time, I guess is the best way to say it.
No, exactly. So one thing that I would ask is as before you go, just leave one final quote, words of inspiration for our membership, during these unprecedented times, not only COVID-19, but more recently, with the racial matters that have popped up, anything that you could give to just the community of soccer players, because we know this is international games. We know soccer is a true language. So, how can we continue to utilize our platform to motivate players during these times?
I would say this quote really transcends sport. It just is more for life, but obviously I always use it with the backdrop of soccer because that's what I know and that's what I do and that's what I think about all the time. But it's from Nelson Mandela, who said, "I never lose. I either win or I learn." And I can't tell you how powerful that was for me throughout my career, and something I lean on even to this day, when I'm working through either mistakes or trying to do something different or adversity or whatever it may be. And I think, as a culture and as a society, these are very valuable days to take what's happening and learn from it so that the next generation can be even better, and the next generation can be even better after that. And hopefully we can eradicate a lot of the injustices that are happening around the world.
That's a powerful message. And for the people who have been watching our extra time episodes, last week we had Dan Gaspar, and what he brought up was the most influential person in his career, in his life, was Nelson Mandela. So for you to also bring that up, I think there's a big reference for us and for our membership to look into some Nelson Mandela history, because he's obviously impacted some very top professional people in our country alone, but definitely amongst the world. So no, I appreciate that quote, and it goes a long way, from us to our membership. So once again, we definitely value and appreciate you taking this time. We wish you and your family just continue to stay safe, stay healthy during these times, and maybe we'll be able to see you down at Disney, because we plan on sneaking into the tournament.
Well, now we got to talk. I definitely would like to meet you guys as we sneak in to watch some games. That'd be fun. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Nope, thanks, Jimmy. You have a great one.
Yeah, Milo, that was great conversation with Jimmy. Had some great inspiring words. What'd you take from it?
No, I think his background and his personality is what's the word? It's everybody wants to be around a personality like that. He brought a light of energy to the episode, but then he shows and he highlights a lot of things that will get players to the next level. So, don't ever be discouraged when things don't work out the way you expect. Everybody has, the power to create their own destiny, to create their own story, and he did it. And from a couple of our other guests who have been on the show, it shows, this is not for the weak-minded, for the weak-hearted. You will put yourself in some situations and environments where you have to overcome challenges. And what we have seen is the people who put their head down, want to grow, want to improve, they do find success. So, and Jimmy really alluded to it, outside of just in the soccer world. If you want to be passionate about music, if you want to be passionate about art, if you have a true passion in anything, dedicate your time, dedicate your energy, and look to just hit it head first and see how successful you can be. And then his quote that he left us with, Nelson Mandela making a guest appearance 2 weeks in a row for us is big. Don't lose, always be victorious. So, I think he spoke to our public, he spoke to our membership, definitely spoke to us. So appreciate having guests like that join us. So it was good. How'd you like it? I know that's your vibe. You guys hit it off. You get down, and I know you were inching to ask for a jersey exchange, but
he mentioned it. I didn't want to throw him off. We just met. But yeah, I thought it was a great interview, great episode today. Maya, thanks for co-hosting with me as always, and I want to thank membership for watching.
Nope, for sure. And just so the membership understands, Ryan told me at the beginning of this episode I don't look like $1 million, but if anything, Jimmy Conrad taught me to believe I look like $1 million. So Ryan, you know what? I'm feeling like it. And I'm looking like it in my own eyes.
Well,
Public, what do you think?
Well, I respect it. I'm just saying, don't look into a mirror if you're gonna feel like that. Just don't look into a mirror and feel bad about yourself.
I'm looking at the lens today.
Yeah, we thank you all for coming on. Just remember, stay safe through this, and stay focused on soccer. And hopefully, we'll be back to the field soon.
No, hopefully we're back to the field soon, and we will continue to update our return to play tracker. We got a lot of clubs coming back, so we can't wait to see you guys at our next event or right on the field soon. Stay safe, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.